So this is wishing everybody a Happy New Year. And this is a custom in Buddhist countries such as Thailand, Sri Lanka, Songkran period begins, and this kind of celebration of blessing, giving blessings, meeting with families, and generally goodwill and happiness generated. It's a very happy time in Thailand, as I remember. And so these are the events of our lives that we can all enjoy, these ceremonies. This is done very well, very beautifully executed. I want to compliment all of you who've participated in making these nagas and flower arrangements and making it into a very lovely ceremony. And of course, blessings, we live in a world of blessings, of grace. Even though in the many cases we think of the world as chaotic and confused, on the conventional level it is. But on the Dhamma level it's not. And this is our refuge that we take when we live here at Amaravati, is to take refuge in the Dhamma, Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. And I know in my own life, just in Wat Pa Pong and in Nana Chat and in Wat Pa Ratanawan, various monasteries in Thailand that I've lived in, it's always a very joyful, happy time for everybody. In Thailand, sometimes they want to bathe the Ajahn. So then you have to sit under a pour, or as everybody pours water through a bamboo tube onto, and you get drenched. And the village men come and scrub your legs and give you a good cleaning. So it's great fun. And here in England we haven't instituted that far because of the weather. This is not exactly the kind of weather that you want to be bathed. Especially you have to do it outside, not in the temple. So just considering the word blessings, it's a common enough English word, religious meaning, and we use it quite often because it's part of our vocabulary, common word that sometimes we don't quite know what it is. So anything like positive, like goodwill or grace in Christian terminologies, it's grace, it's blessings, it's making merit, doing what is good, and this is it includes everybody here. Has equal opportunity to just involve in this ceremony in offering blessings, using myself and Ajahn Amaro as the objects of that, but also it's a way of blessing the whole Sangha and all the lay helpers, the Anagarikas, the Anagarikas, all the people that have made a winter's retreat possible. And now it's springtime, so we can this is really the beginning of a new year. Winter has passed. What remains is spring, summer, and then autumn. The changing of the seasons is very noticeable in these northern countries. In Thailand, it's hot all year round. But in England here, we get you notice how long the days have become. The nights are short. And I always enjoyed living here, watching these changes of the seasons, which are quite remarkable, quite noticeable, quite beautiful in their own way. And the long days in summer and the short days in winter. And these are all about changing conditions that we are experiencing through these bodies that we identify with. So in this world of sankharas, the samsara that we're experiencing through forms, through the senses, this is the way it is. And then in terms of blessings, it's even everybody can give blessings at this time. It's a heartfelt thing. It's not an intellectual exercise. It's not, trying to define blessings and decide whether it really is a blessing or not a blessing, or whether you believe in blessings or you don't believe in blessings. That is all intellectual. That's all up in the brain about language and what you believe in. Where ceremonies like this involve, it's much more intuitive, much more a feeling event rather than an intellectual one. So many of us who lived in Thailand or Sri Lanka have been involved in the Buddhist ceremonies, customs of those countries, and then Westerners, we all tend to have strong opinions. And I remember in Wat Pah Pong, Westerners coming, watching these ceremonies and kind of looking down on sprinkling of water, blessing these water ceremonies where the head monk is blessing the community with water, and thinking the Buddha never really involved himself with any of just empty ceremonies. These are intellectual judgments that we make, coming from our own culture, where we may have lived a life where ceremonies were despised or looked down on, or we've developed our critical faculties to engage in Buddhist meditation, Buddhist activities only on the intellectual level, which is very, reasonable and logical. These ceremonies aren't about reason and logic anymore. They're about feeling, a blessing. They feel blessed. Like I feel I've been very blessed by the community here, the monks, the Siladharas, the novices, and all the lay people that have participated in this. This is a good feeling. If you ask me to define it, describe it, it's not a matter of definition anymore. Those are words that we try to experience life through words, through concepts. And of course we emotionally dry up. We become barren on the emotional level when we see everything in terms of definitions and logic and reason. So religion, Buddhism is logical and reasonable, so when we read the scriptures, the suttas, the teachings of the Buddha, they appeal intellectually to us, most of us I assume, very reasonable approach, very, useful, practical. The whole Buddhist teaching is a very practical teaching. It's not highly, metaphysical about ultimate meaning of life or a deity that created the universe, but about the experience that we create through our ignorance of the blessings that we are really experiencing all the time through Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. So in England here, there's so much of European Buddhist interest is based very much on the intellectual level. which is not to be despised, but it's also to be questioned. Is that all that's on offer? Because the intellect can't take us to the ultimate realization. Emotions are not intellectual experiences. They're about feeling, and feeling is, whether how you feel is not rational. Our emotions aren't always reasonable or rational, but they are what they are. And so in our practice of bhavana, meditation, is to realize this awareness that we're gifted with, this ability to reflect upon the way things are, that emotions as well as words and concepts are all conditioned phenomena. They arise, they cease, they come and go, they can be pleasant, painful, good or bad. But that which is aware, that's mindfulness, is our refuge in what isn't, neither good nor bad, but ultimate reality. We call it Dhamma. And so consciousness is what we are, the here and now, everyone. It isn't dependent upon how long you've been a monk or a nun or a Buddhist or not a Buddhist or whatever you might, you might want to regard yourself as being, but this blessing of mindfulness, of conscious awareness, of intuitive awareness is what we are. It's not judgmental. It's not about thinking it's right or wrong, good or bad anymore. It's peaceful. It's beautiful. So that's what, when we take refuge in Dhamma, we're taking refuge in that, in the ultimate reality, not in the conditions that we ignorantly cling to and identify with, which is the cause of suffering. So I want to express my gratitude and appreciation, Ajahn Amaro, and all those involved, and you have my blessings completely.
Just to say a few words before most people depart and before we have the Paritta. So this festival here in the middle of April, as I was mentioning this morning, this is the middle of the hot season in South Asia. So in India, Sri Lanka, in Thailand, Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia, this is the middle of the dry season. So a water festival at this time of the year, over the many centuries, millennia, is a way of, say, inviting life to come back into the dead ground, the ground that's been baked hard by many dry months through the cold season and the beginning of the hot season, and with the prospect of the monsoon still far away, then this ceremony is focused around water. So in Thailand, there's a lot of water thrown around, along with the ritual bathing. There's a liberal sprinkling of water over people and around and about. But I feel, just as Luang Por was saying, the symbolic quality of a ceremony like this, it has a spiritual meaning, that it's not just an empty ceremony, but if you consider it, the water in that respect is a symbol of the life principle. So the ground is hard, is baked, or here in Northern Europe we have after the coldness of winter and the branches being dead, having lost their leaves, all the deciduous trees having their bare branches, bare twigs, the flower beds are empty. But now springtime, then the spring flowers come up, the branches start to bring forth the new leaves all around us. You can see the fresh young greens of the spring emerging. The life principle is coming back into view, is manifesting. So that this new year of the Songkran, celebrated at this time, it's a way of recollecting that life principle. And if we take the Buddha's teaching, and also a theme that Luang Por Sumedho would repeat over and over again in the early years of the foundation of Amaravati, he would quote those verses from the Dhammapada that say, mindfulness or heedfulness is the path to the deathless. Heedlessness is the path to death. The heedful, the mindful never die. The heedless are as if dead already. And so it's kind of the sort of motto of Amaravati: mindfulness is the path to the deathless, Amaravati being the deathless realm. So in that respect, the Buddha is saying that this quality of appamada, heedfulness or full mindfulness, that is life. And without that heedfulness, without that real awakened awareness, then, as the Buddha said in that very blunt way, we are as if dead already, which is a kind of challenging comment, challenging statement, but the Buddha was not shy about bringing these important truths into focus, really bringing that to our attention, and so that this is an occasion to rejoice. We have these beautiful flower arrangements and these gestures of respect and blessing, but what I would say, essentially what we're respecting is the capacity to be awake, that we're rejoicing in that life principle, and that appamada amatapadang, heedfulness, mindfulness, is the path to the deathless, not just the deathless realm up St. Margaret's Lane in Great Gadsden, but the actual deathless realm, which is a dimension of our own being, the very fabric of our own nature, is, I would say, that Dhamma, the amata Dhamma, the deathless Dhamma. And so that these beautiful ceremonies, this gesture of appreciation and respect, we are respecting deathlessness. We're respecting the capacity that we have to be awake in this moment, to let go of the past, to leave the future unformed, and to awaken to this present reality. Many years ago, one of Luang Por's most frequent phrases, along with mindfulness is the path to the deathless, he would often say, yesterday is a memory, tomorrow is the unknown, now is the knowing. And so that he was saying that regularly 30, 40 years ago, and I would say it still applies at this time. and particularly living in community and having a lot of duties, a lot of activities, and living together with other people. We form strong relationships, pleasant, painful, neutral with each other. So this principle, I feel, is really helpful to, in a sense, recognize that we can always make a fresh beginning, to let the past be, to leave the past alone. That yesterday is a memory. We experience the results of what's happened before, but right now, yesterday is a memory. The past is a closed book. It's gone. It's not here anymore. It's a memory. Tomorrow, the future is unformed, and it's in this moment that life actually happens. So being awake to the present, and not letting the mind be drawn into the past or the future, those imagined realities. That's the way we can most fully express our devotion, our love, our respect for that deathless quality, is in that being awake here and now. That's what they call a pati puja. This amisa puja is the offering of flowers and incense. These gestures of respect is amisa puja, or material, or respect and veneration in the world of form. But pati puja is the puja demonstrated through our practice. And so I would suggest this is a really good opportunity to refresh that principle within our own hearts of letting go of the past, not creating the future, and being awake to this present reality.
Paritva nametang sameta badanta Avikita jita paritam panantu Sage kame charupe krisikaratate chantalike vimane Diperate chagame tarvanaka hanne ke havatum hikete Umma trayanto deva chalatala visameya kakanda panaka Titanta santike yamuni varavachanang sadavo me sunanto Buddha dasana kalo hayang padhanta Dhamma sawana kalo hayang padhanta Sangha parupasana kalo hayang padhanta
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama Sambuddhassa namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama Sambuddhassa namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama Sambuddhassa Tatsa Buddhang Saranang Gacchami Dhammang Saranang Gacchami Sanghang Saranang Gacchami Dutiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami Dutiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami Dutiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami tatiyampi Buddhang saranang Gacchami tatiyampi Dhammang saranang Gacchami tatiyampi Sanghang saranang Gacchami yoca kumamo hammala pagado samang vapodo sugato vimuto maratapasa vinimo jayando bhapesike manjanat venayang bodang varandang sirasa namami lokat sanatan javine yakan jatande de jaya siddhi hotu sabandaraya javina samendu dam dajoyo viyatat sasatu dase siloka savisuddhi mangang niyaniko dhammadara sandari sadava santikaro sujno dhammang varantang sirasa namami moha padalang upasandadahang dante chasate jaya siddhi hotu sabandarai chavina samendu sadhamma sena sugatanugoyo lokatsa papo pakile sajeta sandosai sandiniyo chako jasawakatadam viditang karoti sangang varandang sirasa namami bodhanu bodhang samasi laditing dhande jasade jayasi diyotu sabandarai chavina samendu asevana chabalanang bandita nang jasevana puja japu chandiyanang eta galamutamang patirupade sawaso chabumbe Chakata punyata ata samma paniticha eta mangalamutamang bahusa chanjasi pancha vinayo chasusi kito subhasit chaya vacha heta mangalamutamang mata pitu upadanang buddhana ratsa sanghaho kula jagamanda he mangalamutamang danan shatam acharya chanyataka nancha sanghaho anavajanika maniheta mangalamutamang arati virat papa majapana cha sanyamo apamado cha dhamme suetam galamutamang garavo cha nivato jasa tuti chakatanyuta kalena dhammatsava etamang galamutamang kandi jaso vacha satta samananam jada sanam kalena dhammasakaj etamang galamutamang tapoja brahmacharya chaharya sachana dasan nibbana sachakiriya chahetam galamutamang putat saloka dhamme hichi tang yaksanakam bhaktiyasokhang virat kemang etamang galamutamang etadisa nikaptawana sabatama parachit sabata sotinga chanditande sangma galamutamandi yang kinchi vedang indavahurangva sanghe suvayang ratanang vanitang nando sammangati tata katena idam vibodhe ratanang vanita etena sajena tihotu kayang viragang amatang vanidang yada janga sakyamuni samahito natena dhammena samati kinchi hidambi dhamme ratanang vanitang ete sacena suvadihotu yambodaseto varivanayi suching samma limanandarikan yamahu samma dinatena samona vijati hidampi dhamme ratanang vanitang tena sajena suvadihotu ye puggala Chatari etani yugani honti te dakinaya sugata sasavaka hete sudi nani mahapalani hidambi sanghe ratanang vanitang etena sachena suvati hotu yesu payurta manasa talena nikamino sanami te patipata amata vikaya lada mudani buting bunjamana idam pisanghe ratanang vanitang tena sajena sovati hotu kinang puranang navannati sambhava virata jita yantike pavasaming dekina bija haviru vichanda nibandidira yatayam varipo idam pisanghe ratanang vanitang ete Jena sawadi hotu garaniya mata kusalena yandang san parang abhisame cha sako uju cha suju cha suvacho cha samutu anatimani sandu sako cha suvaro cha samachare kinchiyena vinyubare umbavadeyong sukino wa kemino hondu Sata bhavantu sukhitata yeke chipana bhutati tasavata varava annavase sadikavaye mahandava majimara sakha anukatula ditava chahadita ye chadure vasandiya vidu Bhutava sambhave siva sabe sat bhavantu sukhitata naparo param nikume tanatima yetakata chinam kinchibaya rosana patiga sanya nanyama nyasadu kami chayamata yata niyam putang ayusa ekapu tamanurake hevam bisababu te sumana samba vayeya parimanang metanjasa balokasming mana samba vai aparimanang udam mado chatiriya cha asambadang averang asapatang ditan jara niseno asayano vaya vata savigata medo etang sari aditaya brahma metang viha Indamahuritin chahanupagama silavada sanena sampano ka mesuvenaya gedang nahija tugabasayam punare ti piso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho vicca charana sampano sugato lo kavidu anuttaro purisa dhammasa pratisattha deva manu sanam buddho bhagavati savakato bhagavata dhammo santitiko akaliko ehipasiko hopanahiko bacca tang vedita po vinyu iti supatipanno bhagavato sangho ujjupatipanno bhagavato vakasangho nyayapatipanno bhagavato vakasangho sahamichipatipanno Bhagavato Savakasangho Yadidam Cha Taripurisa Yugania Tapurisa Bhungala Sabhangavato Savakasangho Ahunayo Bahunayo Dakinayo Anjali Karaniyo Anuttaram Lokatsati Dukkapata Chaninduka Bayapata Chanipaya Sokapata Chanisoka Hontu Sabe Pipanino Eta Vata Chahamehi Sambara Punya Sambarang Sabe Deva Numodandu Sabha Sambhati Siddhiya Dana Dadandu Sadhaya Sila Rakandu Sambandha Bhavana Virata Hondu Gachandu Vatagata Sabe Buddha Balapata Pachekanam Chayambalam Arahandanam Chateje Rakhang bandami sabha so mahakaruniko nato hitaya sabhapani nan buratowa bharat sabha pato sambodhimutam etena sacha vajena hotu te chayama kalam chayanto bodhiyamule sakyanam nandivadano tawang vichayo hi jaya sujaya mangale aparajita palanke sise patavibhokare abhiseke sabha buddhanang agapat pamotati sunakatang sumakalang supambatang sutita sukano sumohoto chasuyi tang brahmachari supadakinang kayakam wajakamang badakinang manokamang banidite padakina ikatwana labandade padakine samba buddha nubhavena samba dhamma nubhavena samba sangha nubhavena buddha ratanang dhamma ratana sangha ratanang tinang ratanang ana nubhavena chaturasiti sahasa dhamma kanda nubhavena pittakataya nubhavena jinasavaka nubhavena sabete roga sabete paya sabete antaraya sabete upadava sabete dunimita sabete avamangala vinasandu ayuva dako dandawa dako siriva dako yasowa dako balawa dako vannawa dako sukhawa dako hotu sabadadu karogamaya vera sokha sadhu chupadawa aneka antaraya pivina sandu chateja sajayasi tidhanang labang soti bhagyang sukham palang siriya yuchavano chabo Vudi chayasawa satavasa chahayu janjiva siddhi pavandate bhavatu sabha mangalang rakandu sabha devata sabha buddha nubhavena sadasod bhavandate bhavatu sabha mangalang rakandu sabha devata sabha dhamma nubhavena sadasoti bhavandate bhavatu sabha mangalang rakandu sabha devata sabha sanghanu bhavena sadasoti bhavandate.
These are Paritta Chanting. This is expressing the blessings of the Sangha to everybody living here at Amaravati, our community of samanas and lay people gathered together here in this particular monastery, this place of Dhamma practice, and also to all of our wonderful and faithful and generous, dedicated lay supporters who've been feeding us and looking after us and keeping us, nourished and protected in many, many ways, provided with medicines and shelter and food through all these difficult times of the pandemic in particular, but over many, many decades. And everyone who's watching, listening in today, all our blessings for this new year go out to you, to everyone. And so please take these good wishes, this benevolent gestures, this mangala, the blessing of the Sangha, to be something that you allow into your hearts and to be something that goes with you and nourishes you over the coming months. Anumotana.